Hyde Park on Hudson, Bill Murray stars as FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, visited by King George VI and Elizabeth, eager to garner support for the war. So Elizabeth, played by Olivia Colman, who is brilliant, is brittle and battered and edgy and spiky and convinced that the Americans are making fun of her.
She is great in everything.
She is great in absolutely everything. She's fantastic, and does a very interesting portrayal of somebody who's basically fish out of water, can't bear the fact that they've been put in a room which has got pictures all the way around it of the American War of Independence, can't get around the fact that people aren't properly curtsying and doing the Your Majesty and all that stuff. George, meanwhile, I mean, it does seem to be the standard thing now. If you're making a plea for awards, let's just do George. That's fine. Is essentially completely worried, totally nervous, sure that he's not going to be able to pull this off. Doesn't want to be there. Rather overawed by the surroundings, and frankly, not up to FDR. Here's a clip.
You were wonderful tonight, young man.
What do you mean?
Just what I said. You were graceful. You were confident. You're going to be a very fine king.
I don't know what to say.
Your father would be very proud.
I'm not so certain about that.
If I were your father, I'd be proud.
If you have a cough like that, aren't you about to die?
Well,
in a movie,
yeah, no, but of course, Roosevelt himself is used a wheelchair throughout the movie, and of course has come through polio.
But the king was coughing.
Yeah, no, I know.
It was a kingly cough.
Yeah, but it's because he's.
So the fact is, FDR's in a wheelchair.
No, but it's just
a smoking cough.
Yes, I couldn't actually remember who was coughing in that particular clip. I think it's more to do with a nervous cough. So. Here's the thing. The film is a very sort of strange mishmash of different elements. At the heart of it, you have Bill Murray doing FDR. I think he does it very, very well. He gets the physicality of the role very right. I mean, he has first-hand close family experience of polio, and he's talked about drawing on that experience, and his performance is very good. You also have, as I said, terrific performance by Olivia Williams, Laura Linney as Daisy, and Daisy is nominally the way into the story because she narrates it. It's her letters which provide the entry point to the story, and it's actually, at least on one level, about her relationship with FDR, which is presented as being not at all flattering. I mean, FDR uses her in ways which are blackly comic, I suppose, is the way that some of those scenes would work, but also, quite dark and quite sinister and, and not lovable and avuncular at all. The strange thing, however, is that since you do have this way into the story through the character of Daisy and through Daisy's fraught relationship with FDR, the fact is that huge sections of the narrative play out when she's not there. For example, that scene that we just heard, she's not in that meeting. And it may well be that what we're meant to be having is a reported version of the meeting, but it is a strange thing. If you're going to have something that is essentially a story that is told to you by one character, and then that character disappears during some of the most important sections of the movie, that suggests to me that the narrative is not working entirely as it should. It's directed by Roger Michell, whose CV includes Notting Hill and Mother and Enduring Love, which I like very much, and who moves between drama and comedy very easily and is well versed in both of those, and indeed has actually done action as well. And the film itself has that similar thing about it. It has dramatic underpinnings, but it also has a comedic edge to it. It's darker and more sardonic than the poster, which is all sort of very smiley and very makes it look sort of beaming and charming and like a period drama which you're going to like because it's got lots of actors that you really like in it. And it's not quite that at all. The production design is incidentally really, really terrific. It's a film that looks really good. The other thing about it, which I thought was interesting, is that on the one hand, it's a film about the special relationship, which obviously is significant now, and you can see parallels between this story and the relationship between America and the UK now. But there is also this underlying thing about it's a film that exists in a period where press intrusion was very, very different. And essentially, the central characters are able to conduct their, what would now be public lives, pretty much in private, except at the moments when they allow the press into them. There's one lovely scene in which he's driving out of the house in his car, and the press were all waiting outside. But it's a private thing that he's doing, so he just holds up his hand. They all get fine. They all put their cameras down, and it's funny because in a way, the most interesting things about the films are those little incidental details. So terrific performances. I mean, particularly Bill Murray, but really, really strong. Olivia Colman, fantastic casting, all really, really well played. Nice little individual moments of detail which historically interesting, a strange quirkiness between the drama and the comedy and the dark underbelly, but narratively flawed in a way which means that in the end it just doesn't come together as it should do. It's a shame because you get the feeling that somewhere in there it's kind of working its way towards being a more interesting story, but essentially the problem is that you're being brought into it through a narrative entrance point which doesn't sustain the rest of the narrative, and that is a problem.